Past?
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Um, I'm a conspiracy theorist sometimes, and I think I hear things, and I'm wondering, was this virus man-made by the one percentage? And yeah, I'll just put it like I'll just stop there. Did the one percentage create this virus?
No, they wouldn't do that. Cost too much money. You see how much money they lose?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cost too much money. Now, do I believe that it probably was man-made? Part of me believes that yes. However, I look at the broader picture of it, and the broader picture is that it, all of this is for the benefit of humanity. Um, I believe that it was done, allowed to be done, because it's time for us to change.
Yeah.
I actually see this as a racial virus, economic virus. I believe that the racial disparity and the death are there because America is going to be forced to deal with this race issue, and it's being done as we speak, because the people who are dealing with this race disparity are white talking heads on TV. Most of them are white males who are dealing with this racial disparity. So their hands are being forced to come face to face. The other thing is, I believe that we're being forced to deal with the economic system. For example, I read the article this morning, and the guy's last words were, "Who's going to pay for this?" Why is it that with your last breath, you're trying to figure out who's going to pay for some health care that has a possibility of saving your life? Your financial status in relationship to your health is more important. We got to come face to face with that. And also believe that the way that this unemployment thing is being handled is going to force people who are living on the edge and people who are extremely poor are going to force the government to deal with this issue of economic insecurity. I also believe that the way this thing is panning out is we are seeing the hypocrisy of Christianity. And what I mean by that is the hypocrisy of Christianity is based upon a president being elected who says that he's a Christian. And he said, I wish you a happy Good Friday, or 2 Corinthians. So, like happy Crucifixion Day. And Christians, evangelicals, are still supporting him. Why? They're not supporting him because he's a Christian. They are supporting him because they believe what he believes, that his ideology is the same as theirs, and that his basic foundational beliefs are no different than theirs, because all of them are predicated on the forming of this nation. So, that being the case, Christianity is showing hypocrisy. I was speaking with someone yesterday, and I was told that this one of the ministers in the church went by this particular church and was talking to someone and said to them, some people got to keep their money to put food on the table in relationship to tithes that we're talking about. And the preacher, he said something to the effect that you just want the money. And the preacher said, don't tell nobody but you, right?
Say that again, Pastor. You said the preacher said what?
Don't tell anyone, but you're right. I do want that money.
Oh, okay.
And this is being replicated in the black church. This is being replicated in the white church. And when we look at how these things are structured, we cannot help but see how this virus has played a prominent role in opening the door to progress, opening the door to balance. I don't remember a time when any Caucasian state official in South Carolina in particular has been have been made uneasy by one of the guests here. Until that, Jamie Harris has Lindsey Graham nervous. That has never happened before. So, when you talk about MA, I can see that being man-made. If we talk about it,
Can you explain Lindsey Graham being nervous?
say again.
Can you?
Yeah. I read some poll results, and I haven't seen it recently, but the last ones I did see, there was a 2% gap between Jamie Harrison and Lindsey Graham for this election that's coming up.
Oh, okay.
And no one has ever been that close to him, ever. So, I believe that it was spiritually designed. And if you listen at the true people, I only listen to Fauci no more because he's kissing up to Trump right now. And if you listen at the people who are scientists, they will tell you, we know very little about this virus. Basically, all they know is that it is the coronavirus. Beyond that, they haven't a clue. Not at this point, anyway. So, with the scientists around the world trying to deal with this thing, why did it take longer than it took for anything else?
Mm-hmm.
So, that's why I believe that it's just spiritually designed. And whatever the Creator designed is going to be like bread upon the water. It's not going to return until it accomplishes its goal. And there are those who are looking at this thing and seeing and believing that we're close to the end. And we are. And maybe so. In places like New York, but not in the rural areas, not in the South. It hadn't even started for us. Because in the South, we live further apart from each other. In the North, people live on top of each other. And if you look at the cities where it is rampant, that's what you'll see. And if you look at the Southern governors, they don't want to do social distance, physical distancing. And they are encouraging people to go. So these kinds of things are playing out now. And the problem with that, with me, in looking at this, is that the ministers are of the time. They'll tell you that God allowed it, but then when you ask them why, they don't have an answer. And there are a group who will tell you that the devil did it, and to them I said, so you telling me that your prayers are not as strong than the devil? Then they leave that alone. So here we are. We are discussing at this moment a deeply spiritual event that's taking place. Yet, if the Christian church heritage, especially Black church, they would say that we're having a secular discussion, which means that they don't realize that they have been bought and paid for, and they have been indoctrinated with an ideology that works against all of us, not just people of color, but all of humanity. They don't realize that because they're too self-centered, too ignorant to read the signs of the time. Any questions? Did that help you, Evan?
Yes, it did.
Sage, I have a question.
Okay.
How did the name Good Friday come about? Why is it called Good Friday?
It comes from the word good. The same that Holy Friday, they call it Good Friday because it's Holy Friday. They don't call it good because it was the quote unquote crucifixion day.
Okay.
But he didn't. He said, Happy Good Friday, just like he said questions. No more questions? I sent a partial copy of an article I read from Auburn. And that article about
Pastor, you breaking up. We didn't hear what you said in the beginning.
I sent a copy of an article to Barbara, a portion of it anyway. And this group that studies inequality around the world showed that Turkey, Bulgaria, Mexico, South Africa are above America when it comes to inequality.
Turkey. Say the countries again. Turkey.
Turkey, Bulgaria, Mexico, South Africa, a couple of others. But all of them are countries that you would not expect to be above America. America is the most unequal country in what they call modern nation. It lags behind every other country. Now, don't get me wrong, does not dismiss the fact that inequality is in China just like it is in any other part of Europe or this nation. Don't get me wrong. However, this is my contention, it has been for quite some time, that as America goes, so goes the world. So it is incumbent upon us who travel this journey of spiritual insight to remember that the burden we carry is not one that's too strong for us. We are looking at a nation that taunts itself as being the most developed and wealthiest, and yet we are in the company of those countries when it comes to equality. The question I would raise is, why is it that this is that we are so unequal? Why is that so? It has nothing to do with are people hanging up or coming on?
No.
No what? But anyway,
Barbara. This is Barbara.
What?
I accidentally shut myself out.
oh, okay. But I was wondering how you got, okay. Anyway, I'm wondering, the question rather is, why is that so and how did it come to be? And why is it such as it is now? The reason it is the way it is because of racism. It's because of greed. It's because of religion. These are the three most damning principles in this country, in this world, on this earth. When we see the demise of racism, demise of religion, and all these other things, then we'll see a difference. And I do believe that this virus is going to run rampant until this nation comes to its knees and come to grips with it. Because think about it. This morning, there are 18,000 people counted to be dead. Now, if you take these 18,000 people and say that, whether it be an uncle, a cousin, a friend, a parent in their lives, if you average, let's say that each one of them have 10 people in their lives. That's 180,000 people's lives who've been affected by this.
Mm-hmm.
Now we know the average person has more than 10 people in their lives. And when you talk about it that way, then the people become real as opposed to a statistic.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at it that way, people are going to look at this whole scenario of how this thing is handled, and they are going to make some decisions about what we need to do going forward. That is the reason that the Trump, the McConnell, the Republicans do not want anyone to vote by mail, because they know that if there's a heavy turnout, they lose, because people want change. And that is the reason I also believe that, now this is my opinion, I do not believe that Joe Biden is going to get the nomination. I just don't believe that. They're too protective of him right now. It's almost like they're afraid that he's going to say something that he won't be able to back off from.
She probably will.
Yeah. So that's why I believe they're keeping him hidden. I mean, think about this. If he was everything that they are challenging him to be, then he would be out challenging Trump every single day, or at least every week.
Mm-hmm.
That's not. You have to ask yourself why it's not happening. If when he put out his policy on how he would handle coronavirus, a week or two later, Elizabeth Warren did the same thing, and Obama endorsed hers but said nothing about his. Something is going on. So the Creator has his hands in all of this, and there is no doubt in my mind that we are going to see things play out in a totally different way than we've ever seen them play out before. And there is no way that we can brainstorm and figure out what it's going to look like or how it's going to play out. It's not going to happen.
Pastor, this is Barbara. Do you believe the governors have more power now than they've ever had before because they were allowed to do what they had to do to protect the people, their constituents. In other words, Trump is saying we're going to open society, et cetera, et cetera. But he did nothing, and he will proceed to set guidelines for that. But he did nothing from a national perspective to help set guidelines for the governors about protecting the people.
Well, legally, he does not have the power to what he called open up the country. The governors can overrule him because he was not elected to represent individual states. He was elected to represent the nation, and he did not issue a blanket shelter in place, so he cannot open the country. The states will have to do that. And when you look at it, this plays out the same way. When you look at the definitive line between the Republicans and the Democrat governors, what do you see? You see the Republican governors not caring really about the people. They care more about Trump. You see the Democrat governors saying, we got to do what we got to do. Then you see in Colorado, the state goes to buy ventilators, and the FEMA comes in and outbids them and take them away, simply because Trump doesn't like the governor of the state. So this is what is being shown, is that regardless of what it takes, politics trumps everything, no pun intended. What we are being shown is that if you don't play ball with the government will crush you. That's what Trump is showing us. And if we were to get someone in office and people in leadership who are really sincere about humanity, you'd be amazed at the state secrets that will be exposed. The document.
I was looking.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, finish your thought.
Go ahead, Bob.
Okay, I was looking yesterday at an interview on the BBC between an interviewer and the Italian Prime Minister, and when it was night and day. The man talked about his country. He talked about the people all over his country, and then when I compared that to what our presidents interview on a daily basis, press briefing on a daily basis is, there is no comparison, absolutely no comparison. The man showed compassion for his people. Says he can't sleep at night thinking about the suffering of his people, and it's just the empathy was there. You could feel it, but not so with Mr. Trump. But I guess that there's a reason for that as well.
And if you think about it, the virus was rampant in the wealthiest section of Italy, Northern Italy. That's where it started.
That's true, Lombardi.
Yeah, something to think about. And when you think about how this nation is dealing with it, harken back to your question about the power to open up the country. If he says that, see, the Creator is very thorough. Nobody could have planned it. No human mind could have planned it this way. There is no way. There may be disparity. Yes, it is disparity racially. But that's because racially we live on top of each other more so than any other race. Black and brown people. So, housing projects, etc. That's true. However, once it begins to hit southern states, the red states, the Confederate states, once it begins to hit the Confederate states and they become hot spots, that's when the rubber gonna meet the road. That's when this whole insurance thing is gonna hit the fan. When, give it 2 weeks, and these people have not received their unemployment checks. When you look at a place like San Antonio, you got 10,000 people in their cars in line waiting at a food. 10,000 people. And this unemployment thing is only, what, a couple of weeks old. Wait until, give it 2 more weeks and see where it stands. These are the kinds of pressures that forces a government to change. Revolution, yes, but a different type of revolution. This is the spiritual revolution that's taking place. This is not a Che Guevara revolution. This is not a Castro revolution. This is a spiritual revolution that no one can stop. It's like a snowball rolling down the hill. It's growing. And it's growing exponentially.
Pastor,
Yes.
would you happen to know why the year 2020 was chosen for all of this to take place?
I can offer what I think it is, but as far as my being definitive about it, no. 2022 and 2 is 4. That's creation. So, let me back up for a moment and share with you some things. It is my contention that we are at the place where better sheep, better sheep, better sheep, in the beginning, God created heaven and earth. But that's where we are right now. When Jesus talked about return to the beginning, did we talk about this last week?
I don't think
I
so.
don't think we did.
When Jesus taught, when Jesus told Nicodemus he must return to the beginning, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's where we are now. We're at beginning. We're at a place where we become truly co-creators. And at this place of beginning, what do we see? We see darkness covering the deep. What's in the deep? Confusion. The deep is filled with chaos, and the deep is filled with selfishness and greed and wisdom. And when the light is drawn from the wisdom, then these chaotic circumstances will be put in order. That's where we are. That's what I see. And I see the order being brought by feminine energy. And one of the things that kind of pushed me or helped me to see that, or believe that, I should say, is the reason a male is more susceptible, well, one of the reasons, susceptible to the virus or any sickness or disease for that matter, that females are, is because the X gene carries a portion of the immune system. And a woman, a female has 2X, and the male has XY. So her immune system is stronger, but that is a double-edged sword, because even though it's stronger, it also puts her in the place of being susceptible to autoimmune diseases as well, like lupus and stuff. So I see that we are at beginning, and we are at a place of new birth. That's what I see. Any questions about that? XY chromosome. I'm sorry. XX chromosome. I said gene, didn't
Yeah. Is this is this one of those paramount times in the period of creation that's similar to the Moses time when people had an opportunity there but lost it to really do something significant as it relates to connecting with with the Most High? Is this one of those sentinel times?
Absolutely, it is. And one of the things that, and seeing that, one of the things that we can't lose sight of is the fact that it does not take everyone to make that connection. Suppose that that connection is made already by people who are able to read the signs of the times. And suppose that those people who are not able to do that, but they are crying out for change, are not so much going to connect to the Most High as they will connect to those who are connected to the Most High. And that's how change comes. Those connected to the Most High are the ones in the gap. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Any questions?
I was
Go ahead.
I was thinking about your comment earlier, not today, but earlier, about economics and racism and all of those things, and I liken it to a foundation, and if the foundation has cracks in it or splits in it, the house can look very beautiful once it's built. It can look, very, very beautiful. It can be a mansion by material standards. But if the foundation is not solid, meaning humanity is the foundation, black folk are the foundation, et cetera, et cetera. If the foundation is not solid, imagine that house is going to start, that building is going to start shifting, and it's going to start showing cracks on the part that people think is so beautiful. But you're going to start seeing cracks going up the wall, and so that you know you're not on a firm foundation. And that's what I think about when I think about the disparities in terms of racism, all the isms and schisms, as well as economics in the United States. Those are cracks in our foundation.
You're right. I want to draw our attention to that when we talk about disparities. What do we mean? What are disparities? If we look at economic disparities, we can't look at economic disparities and say that I'm in a bad position economically because you live in a larger house than me, or you have a nicer car than I do. I don't see that as economic disparity at all. To me, economic disparity is when you are unable to live a life that the Creator would have you live. That means being able to take care of yourself, your family, etc. I'm not talking about an abundance just for the sake of having an abundance. Disparity to me points to those things of sustenance that are necessary for survival on this earth, not necessarily in this country. Example, I was reading a book that Ron gave me. And one is what does a Native American think, or something like that. But anyway, one of the things that I read, this chief was talking about his birth, him being born and being laid on the ground the grass, the bed of the earth, looking up at the canopy of the earth, the blue sky. And he went through some other things of nature. And then he concluded by saying that I would much rather be born in this manner than to be born in a palace or in a castle, because those things are temporal. They're going to fade away. They won't last. However, the earth is. Nature will always be there. And to be connected to it means that you never die also. So the question is, if he's born on the ground or in a teepee versus someone being born in a castle, where is the disparity? So we can't look at disparity necessarily as being a material thing. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
It's much different than that. Much different than that. And the thing that we had a structured community that was geared toward supporting each other, regardless of what it took. We had family structures that made sure that we may not have had everything we wanted, but we had what we needed. And we began to lose that family structure, that community connection, when we began to acquire things. And when we started acquiring things, it is then that we lost sight of what disparities really are. At least that's how I see it. The other thing is that in relationship to that, if you really think about it, most of us as a people, as Bob was talking about being foundational as a people, most of us as a people are not trying to outwit somebody so we can get wealthy or rich or millionaires. We're not doing that. Most of us are of the mindset that I'm okay. I don't have to have all the money in the world for me to live. Is that not most of our mindset?
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Yes.
That's culture. And that's how we have been geared, because it's the same principle. You know what we're actually saying when we look at it that way? What we're actually saying is that we don't want to take any more than is necessary. It's like the African or the Native American living off the land. We don't take any more from the earth than is necessary for us to live. That's how we've lived. And that's how we still think for the most part. I mean, how many of you, when you grew up, and especially within my age group or closer to my age group, how many of you, when you grew up, if you had gardens or homes or whatever you had there, you always shared it with you?
Pastor, why Pastor,
Uh-huh.
Pastor, why did you say there are only two of us near our age group?
If they're our age or near.
Yeah, gardens were everything.
And for the rest of us, we can share the history, but that's how we live.
Yeah, you're right.
Because I
Back in
remember very. Go ahead.
Back in the Depression, my grandmother would tell us stories, and we asked her, I was interviewing her for her school project, so, and she said, Depression, what depression? All we knew about depression was we had to feed more hobos. In other words, they lived near a train track, and there were men who got off who were hungry, and they fed them. But they had what they needed to sustain themselves and others.
You know what, Bob? Clark was doing a school project, and she asked Phoebe Mama the same question and got the same answer. When we grew up, we asked the same question, got the same answer. What depression? We didn't experience the depression. White people did. Because we did not depend on money for our sustenance. We depended on the earth. Think about that.
That's true.
We depended on the earth, and the earth did us well. My granddaddy on my dad's side, he said that during the depression, some of the people who had lost land by being, of course, taken by white people, being fed to community. So they didn't experience the depression either. So what is the moral of this thing? This observation. The moral of it is this: if you depend on the earth for your sustenance, you will always do well. Not only will you do well if you depend on the earth for your sustenance, you will have enough to share, so the whole world will get enough to drink. So, if we understand that we are to be connected to the energy of the earth and not the energy of the God of this world, i.e. money, then we don't have to be concerned about how we are going to live, nor whether or not we will be in a position to reach out to others and help them also, because it will always be there. There must be a shift in our system of beliefs that moves us away from the religion of the master and moves us to the spiritual nature of our origin. Because what we just described in terms of our grandparents speaking about the depression is the same way that we lived before we were brought to this nation in James. Taking care of each other, taking no more from the earth than we need, sharing, left the form, left the energy, and connected to the energy of this world. And look how we suffer now. There has to be a return to our roots. And I say a return to our roots, because we certainly don't want to return to the roots of the others, because their roots is what put this predicament. They're rooted in greed, they're rooted in racism, they're rooted in all the negative isms that's possible, things that are destructive. That's what they are rooted in. And we must uproot that. And once it's uprooted, then we're able to put in this place a system that is beneficial, not only to those of us who have suffered so deeply, but also beneficial to those who have been the cause of the suffering. The ones who forced us, made us suffer, must also benefit. And that is the reason we are so forgiven, because we were brought into this earth to be an example of what humanity is supposed to look like. Questions? Here we are. We are in the belly of the isms of this world. We are in the belly of greed, this whale, this monster that was brought into existence, was not brought into existence to destroy humanity, but it was brought into existence for us to come to our senses about the reasons that we were brought into this earth. We were brought into this earth to be creators. But rather than being creators and bringing humanity to a place of its wonders or unicity with the earth, we chose to teach humanity. We chose to teach people how to live in. We chose to teach them things, but we never taught them how. We only taught them things and went back to our place of origin to live. We never taught them how to live. We never gave. Are there any comments about that or questions? Well, maybe I should back it. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
And I think that we have gotten to a place in this position where it matters not what people say or think, because we realize that you can only speak about those things that you've experienced or that you have been exposed or introduced to. And the exposure of those who speak disparagingly about those who are traveling this journey of enlightenment, they have not been exposed to much. Everything they've been exposed to are those things which are superficial. Here today and gone tomorrow, blown away with every wind, no stability whatsoever. Roots on top of the ground like the pine tree, extremely tall, but yet unstable. Not like the. Not only is it tall and broad, not only is it the home for other species, but it's also rooted deeply in the earth, and it will not be moved. This is who we are. So it doesn't matter what people think, and that's where we gotten to that place. We're not uncomfortable in speaking what the truth really is. And now that we are at this place of comfort, the manifestation of holiness, the manifestation of oneness is becoming real to us. It's almost like we are looking at a Polaroid picture and watching it develop before our eyes. Trying to see really what it is, but not trying to shape it or make it be something that it's not. But simply waiting for it to complete its development, and then being in awe of the beauty of it, being in awe of how we could have never dreamed of the glory that's before us, the beauty, the balance, the unicity, the love, the caring, the concern that's before us. That's what's happening in places like people are becoming their brother people.
Pastor,
Uh-huh.
what does the number 666 have to do with what's happening now?
Man has reached his highest state of perfection. He has done everything it could do to be his own God, his own creator. I can create a good life for you. All you have to do is invest in my company. I can create a future for your children. All you have to do is invest in my company. We have seen a good life as being predicated on money. We have seen a future for our children based upon money. When we talk about legacy now, we don't talk about how we live a fruitful and beneficial life. when we talk about legacy, we talk about leaving money for our grand and great grand. Legacy has changed from the goodness that you've left in this earth to how much money you've left. Can you see that?
Yes.
When we once would ask, what will your legacy be? The answer was totally different than what they are now. I listened to Craig talk. He's financial consultant, not just for individuals, but for groups and municipalities. And I listened to him talk, and what he talked to people about is legacy. And all of it is related to finances. I think I told you once that all I want people to remember about me is that I was a good man. That's all you need to say about me. I want that to be my legacy. Meaning that I did whatever I could to help humanity become beneficial to each other. There's a broad difference between those two things, because if the legacy is based upon finance, the legacy can be wiped out in one instant. But if the legacy is based on the energy, is based upon the love and the forgiveness and the comfort, the empathy that you have brought into this earth, that will never die. It can never be wiped out, ever. No one asked how much money did Malcolm X leave or have. No one asked the amount of money that King had or Marcus Garvey. They talk about what they did. They talk about what they left. But when you talk about the Rockefellers, you talk about money. And very few people know that the Rockefellers established Fairmont College in Atlanta. But they do know about the Rockefeller money. When you talk about the Vanderbilt, you think about the railroad, you don't think about them being philanthropic, because their legacies are based on materialism. We have to live beyond that. 666 is the highest level of perfection on its own. And honestly, I'm going to say something that I never dreamed of before. Never thought. 666 is not applicable to everyone. It's not applicable to you. Because your eye has opened and you have begun to seek the face of the Creator. Because you know there is no completion, no perfection without being guided by the Creator. It simply applies to those who depend on materialism. The Pope moved that if we are foundational as a people, suppose that we as a people are the goodness in the tree of life of the knowledge of good and evil, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the unbelief is the masters that brought us across the waterway in chains. And suppose that the whole earth is supposed to benefit from us. And between the rightness and the unrightness, that's everyone else in this earth. The Asians, the Native Americans, the Nanook, etc. And when that tree, the unrightness in the tree becomes ripened, that's when we see balance. Suppose that's our purpose, that we were brought here. Suppose that we see that rightness. When we began to see, no one has to be concerned about finances versus their health. No one has to be concerned about whether or not their kids are going to have food to eat in the morning or shelter over their head next week. no one has to worry about whether or not their children are going to be able to make it in this earth realm. Because everyone has the opportunity to be one, not only with this Creator, one with each other. Suppose that is our purpose, and this is the nature of the knowledge, the tree of knowledge of good and evil.
You're James, Pastor.
Go right here.
Yeah, when the person mentioned the word 666 and you expounded upon that, in numerology it also says, as soon as you see this number repeatedly, it may be a sign for you to balance your thoughts so they are aligned with the creation. The number 666 also represents the capacity to use the intellect and the imagination combined to bring about positive outcomes. So I just wanted to just share, just that aspect of 666, because I think it talks about the importance of us, being in balance, and alive with creation. And I know we just recently had the full moon, and it was just an awesome sight, to see, and at the same time, just the reflection and the purpose of it. So I know that, as he's saying, this is a time of spiritual revelation that no one can stop. So I just wanted to share that thought.
Thank you. We have been paying more attention to the moon lately anyway. And we have seen supermoon seemingly more than ever before. I know they've been there, but we have not paid them any attention. Which means that we're paying more attention to the birth canal. Any other questions or comments? Thanks, George.
I have a question. Can you elaborate a little more about what you mean by 666 is not meant for everyone?
What I mean by that is, when I said that 666 is the man's highest level of perfection when it comes to him creating his own, making his own way in his own God, we are not 666 in that regard. That does not apply to us, because we are not creating our own God.
Okay.
Let me show you how developed we are. The other day, Craig came. Well, let me back up. When we order stuff now, we get groceries. We get it online, and Craig would pick it up and he brings it and we wipe it down, do all that stuff with it. But anyway, he was talking about Tristan being at their house and it being completely dark in the house, and there are clothes, a basket or something sitting around in the bedroom, and Tristan coming in the room